Welcome back. Delighted to have with us today Dan Perkins. He's a contributor to dailysurge.com, thehill.com. He's authored quite a few books, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, A Terrorist Perspective. And actually, his first book is a trilogy about terrorism against the United States. And he's well connected. There's a picture up there on the screen for those watching on the Dove TV. You may want to check that out at the bookstores and also Barnes & Noble or Amazon. Dan, good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Good, and thank you for having me back on again. I enjoyed my last visit.
Oh, good. Likewise. Well, tell us, what do you think about, a lot's happened. Trump now has signed the pledge, but he's still kind of taking a poke at Bush. What do you think about this?
I happen to think that, believe it or not, that Donald Trump is correct in the sense that just take the example that Donald was talking about. There was an exchange between Bush and somebody in the audience who was speaking to Bush in Spanish. Well, what about the millions upon millions and millions of Americans who don't speak Spanish or don't understand it and not a clue what was going on, what the exchange was? I think Trump is, and he went on to say further in his conversation that this isn't just about Spanish, it's about all languages, that English is the language of our country and everybody should learn to speak it. You know, Barry, we had a situation from 1929 to 1960 in this country where we had what is called the period of assimilation. We dramatically reduced immigration in order for the millions of immigrants who came in before 1929 to assimilate into the culture, to learn the language, the currency, and to become Americans. We weren't saying that they should give up their cultural past, whether it was Hispanic or French or German. We're saying that you're in the American culture and there are certain things that you have to do. So I think what Trump was saying is, if we're in America, we speak English.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. Now, there are some that don't. Certainly Bush doesn't agree with that. But if English doesn't become the language of America, I mean, we're now getting multilingual language road signs, multi-language instructions, and everything in medicine seems to be multi-language. What are we doing to ourselves by going down this road?
I think it's diluting who we are as a nation. It's not becoming a melting pot. It's becoming a segregation of, in this case, Hispanic culture and language. I thought it was amazing. There's a show on Fox News called The Five. It's on at 5 o'clock in the evening. And they had one of the panelists was, each panelist is responsible for introducing a particular segment for the panel to discuss. And last night, one of the panelists missed her cue. And when she said to the audience, I miss my cue because the person was speaking to me in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. Perfect example of that. The ability to communicate with each other is affected by the language that we use. And if we don't use the common language, which is English, we're going to diminish our ability to communicate.
Amen. What did you think of Trump signing the pledge yesterday?
I thought it was absolutely the right thing for him to do. I think he basically, by doing so, has taken a lot of people out of play who were concerned that he was going to become a third party. And as a result, he found himself in a situation where he's probably going to get higher in the polls. If you looked at this morning's Wall Street Journal, on the front page was Donald Trump holding up the pledge. Not Jeb Bush and not any of the candidates. It was focused all on Trump because he was the one at the first debate who said he wasn't willing to. Now he's willing to. And I think that that's going to release a whole bunch of new people who are going to become supporters of Trump.
Some would say the RNC won. Others would say Trump won. It appears to me Trump won on this one because now he's kind of put the RNC in a box. Would you agree?
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy, you have to give him credit. He's become a successful businessman in his own right. And he's decided that what's wrong with Washington and what's wrong with the country is there's too much money coming in from special interests and lobbyists and everything else. And he's not going to play that game. And so he's not only said he wasn't going to play the game, he's changing the game, and they really don't know what to do. They're afraid of him. And I believe if he were to be elected president, I believe he is going to be the president of hope and change, not Barack Obama.
All right, so he's got to be the established Republicans' biggest nightmare.
No question about it, because, you know, I mean no disrespect, sir, but what is Republican? I mean, I believe there's virtually no difference between Democrats and Republicans currently, for the most part, in Congress. There are a few exceptions, Ted Cruz and Mr. Lee and other people, but by and large, there is no difference between the leadership of the Democratic Party. I mean, think about this. We had the House. Give us the Senate. We'll get things done.
Yeah.
Days after they took over control of the Senate, the Senate gave away their power under Article 2, Section 2, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution on the right to pass treaties, and they walked away from it. Recently, Mitch McConnell was asked about legislation to defund Planned Parenthood. He said, "Why waste our time? Because Obama's going to veto it." You waste your time because you get people on the record. You get people to take a stand one way or the other. And by taking a stand, there are consequences of taking a stand, good and bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just the know-nothing out of McConnell and Boehner is just, it's deafening. In the meantime, Trump has pretty much said something critical of all the candidates, maybe with the exception of Carly Fiorina, and he seems to be liking Ted Cruz. They're going to do a rally next week. You have any idea who he might like in the end?
Well, I think that Cruz is more aligned with his personal beliefs of what he's expounding. They're more aligned with each other. So I don't know whether Cruz will be his vice presidential nominee. Perhaps Carly. He and Ben Carson were the two candidates who stood up against CNN to get Carly on the stage for the CNN debate, and they capitulated. So I think there's a possibility, and this is a game that you might want to think about playing with your audience. Okay, so let's say Trump gets the nomination. Not only who are you going to pick for vice president, but what other talent are you going to pick in that party of 16 for various cabinet positions? So if we have Trump as the president, Carly as the vice presidential nominee, I think the perfect role for Ted Cruz is the Attorney General.
Wow. Okay, so what do we do with Ben Carson? I mean, look, Trump's getting all the attention. I get that. But, man alive, you can't ignore Ben Carson. He's shooting up pretty good.
Well, there was an interesting analysis on that last night, which I point out to you, is the reason that Carson is rising is because the capitulation that Trump is the leader, and that of all the other candidates remaining, Carson is the most acceptable to the remaining constituency of the rest of those people, and that's why he's gaining. It's not so much what he's accomplishing as much as the other people are beginning to lose ground, and people are gravitating to Dr. Carson.
Wow. Well, Dan, good to see you again, my friend. Keep up the good work. Let's stay in touch, huh? Because it's going to be a fun year ahead.
No question. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
All right. God bless. All right. We'll be right back.
Yep.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.